Very good evening, students. So today we'll start with another very important chapter. So structural organization in animals. So in previous classes you have already studied about structural organization. Structural organization in animals. So structural organization in animals. So in these two bits will come mainly. So first number one is called type study. Type study we can call. So in this type study, you are going to study about three different types of animals, morphology as well as anatomical features. So first number one is called earthworm. Earthworm. Second one, cockroach. Cockroach. And third one is called frog. So you are going to study in type study three different types of animals, morphology as well as anatomical structures. So morphology in the sense you are going to study here, you should mention that morphology. Morphology in the sense external appearance of an organism. So external in the sense what about that distinct features, morphological features you are going to study. So what about head region, externally what you are going to observe in that particular animal. So abdomen, trunk and different types of the structures. Then followed by anatomy. Anatomy. So anatomy in the sense internal structure. So internal structure in the sense, for example, you can take a earthworm or you can take a cockroach or frog. So for example, you can take a cockroach. Anatomical features in the sense, anatomy in the sense study of internal organ systems of an organism. For example, you can take a what about this digestive system in that particular organism, respiratory system, circulatory system, all these different types of the systems comes under anatomy. So then followed by morphology. Morphology in the sense only external appearance of an organism. So what about that animal color? So what you will find external features like what about a limb structure, then followed by eyes, about nose, mouth parts and a different study that comes under morphology. So usually you are going to study every year in that type study morphology as well as anatomy of three different animals. So but this year, so we'll concentrate more on this cockroach. So we are going to study about this in detail, study of both the morphology as well as anatomy of cockroach. So you'll ask then, so why not, why, sir, why you are not discussing about that earthworm and frog? So from the need point of view, we should more concentrate on this cockroach. Why? Because whatever you are getting every year questions on this type study, so mainly on that type study means they'll concentrate more on that cockroach. So that's what we'll start with this cockroach only. So our today's topic will be type study. In that type study, we'll start with that morphological features, then followed by anatomical feature of that cockroach. So later, after completion of that, we'll see. So either we'll start with that next earthworm or frog, or with that another chapter. From need point, when you'll take need point of view, so they'll concentrate only on this cockroach. That's what we are starting with that cockroach study. So before going to the cockroach study, you have to know that first important chapter is called type study, in that structural organization in animals, and second chapter is called animal tissues. Second one is called animal tissues. So about animal tissues, you have already studied in offline classes. So about animal tissues means you have already studied about a different animal tissues. For example, you can take that epithelial tissue, about that complete information you already gathered, then followed by connective tissue, then followed by muscular and nervous tissue. So total 4 different types of tissues are there in human body and other organisms. So you have already studied in detail about this animal tissue. So only thing what's remaining in this type studies remaining in structural organization in animals. So that's what today we are going to start with this morphological features. Morphological feature in the sense, first we'll start with this morphology. So then followed by, we'll start with this anatomical feature. So now you take down. So in this structural organization, first cockroach onwards, cockroach, then followed by earthworm, and then followed by frog. Take down next heading, cockroach. Cockroach. So cockroach means you already well aware about this cockroach. So usually when you will come across what are the different types of the species are there on this planet of Earth, usually where you will find more number of these species and what are different types of species you will find. So about that information in morphology we will study today. So first thing you should remember that two main important species they have mentioned there. So two important species of cockroaches are well known, you will find all over the world. All over the world. So all over the world you will find these cockroaches, different types of cockroaches. So that's what we can call it as all over the world you are finding except polar region. You have to concentrate on this sentence. This is very important. Except polar region, you will find in almost all the parts of this world. So that's what, if you are finding all over the world in general, we can call it as such type of animals as cosmopolitan animals, or the distribution we can call it as cosmopolitan in distribution. So you have to remember that cosmopolitan means what? Cosmopolitan in the sense you will find all over the world. So that distribution depends on that distribution. They have mentioned that word cosmopolitan in distribution. So all over the world except polar region. So what are two different types of commonly well-known species? So first number one species you have to remember that Periplaneta americana. Number one species Periplaneta americana. Periplaneta americana. So this is number one, species number one. And number two is called Blata orientalis. Second species commonly well-known species called Periplaneta americana, and number two species is called Blata orientalis. So total you should remember two main important species all over the world you will find. So next followed by what about this classification of animals. So next to take down heading classification of cockroach. In general, in our own word we can call it as, we can use our own word as cockroach, commonly called cockroaches. What about this classification? At least you have to remember that first in which phylum these animals belongs. You have to remember that phylum name. So which phylum? Phylum Arthropoda. Cockroaches belongings to phylum Arthropoda. So you have to remember that basic information in which phylum so these animals belongs. And number two information, so which class these animals belongs. Class name is called the largest class in the whole animal kingdom is called class Insecta. So then followed by third main important thing, order. In which order these animals belongs. Otherwise, if you can't remember all these means, at least you have to concentrate on this directly. At least you have to remember genus. From need point of view, you have to concentrate on this genus. So that's left to you. So, so genus in the sense, I can write it as Periplaneta. Periplaneta, and species is called Americana, and common name commonly called common name cockroach. 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 So if you want to know about that extra information, little order means you have to concentrate. Side, I'll write it as side here. Next to that class, order will come. So order in the sense you have to remember. No need. Then also order I'll write here. Order. Diptyoptera. Order Diptyoptera. So then followed by, if you want to remember Diptyoptera order, so after this order you have to concentrate family. No need. Then also you have to remember, for extra information you have to remember family also. Family we can call it as Blattidae. Blattidae. That's what I have not mentioned here. So you have to concentrate more on this. You have to concentrate more on phylum Arthropoda, in which class it belongs, then followed by genus Periplaneta, species Americana. So then followed by commonly called cockroach. Commonly called cockroach. So this basic information is very important. So this is about the classification. So in that, if you want to add that for after that class order, you can add, and then followed by family, then followed by genus, species, then common name. So next followed by in morphological features, some important morphological features are there. You have to compulsory remember these morphological features. So what are those? Next you write it down. So first important morphological feature. Before going to the morphology, some important point. So these animals exhibiting sexual dimorphism. Cockroaches exhibiting sexual dimorphism. So in previous classes you have already studied what is meant by the sexual dimorphism. So sexually means both male and female will come. So I'll symbolically represent this as male. You have to remember always male symbol, and this is the female symbol. Female. So both sexually in the sense both male and female, dimorphic. Di means to morphologically distinct. So both the male as well as female organism look alike. For example, you can take that in cockroaches. So these cockroaches will also exhibiting so distinguishing feature in both the male as well as in female organism. Sir, how we will distinguish whether it is a male cockroach or female cockroach? So one diagrammatic representation, when you remember, you can easily understand. So here it is. So this diagram is very important, and here they have mentioned one is male and other one side is female. You have to concentrate. So this is one diagram and this is another diagram. So what distinguishing feature is there? So you have to implement here what is meant by sexual dimorphism. So first here in A and B you have to concentrate, and C and D you have to concentrate. And here in this diagram A they have mentioned anal circus, this is singular, anal circus and anal style. Usually in male cockroaches, so these small pair of appendages like structures you will find, but you will not find usually in female. So this is the one distinguishing characteristic feature, presence of anal styles in the male cockroaches, but that anal styles are absent in female cockroach. This is one sexually dimorphic feature. And second feature, when you'll consider this abdomen, so one abdomen will be broader, other abdomen will be slender. You can easily distinguish. So this abdomen is slender and this one side abdomen is broader. if that cockroach will have that broader abdomen, that's understood that this is the compulsory female cockroach. So if the cockroach will have this slender, so that's understood that slender in the sense towards this posterior end you will find slender structure. So that is nothing but related to male cockroach. When you will come across structure, you have to remember, concentrate on the structure of cockroach. In morphology, this is very important. Compulsory, you have to remember the dorsal and ventral view of this cockroach structure. So what you are going to observe? So in this cockroach, so first some important points you should remember. So khasiyat we can call. So first, number one, in cockroaches, so these will have omnivorous habitat. Omnivorous in nature. This is first important point. And second thing you have to remember that these are cursorial type of animals. And third main important thing I have already told you now, these will be exhibiting sexual dimorphism. Animals exhibiting sexual dimorphism. Fourth, another very important characteristic feature you have to remember, porometabolous metamorphosis. Porometabolous type of metamorphosis. So these four are the basic points you should remember about this cockroach. So first, what is meant by omnivorous type of animal? So these omnivorous type of animals are nothing but, so omnivores feed on both in the sense here, so these feed on dead animals also, and plants also. So that's what both type of habitats they have. So that's what, so omnivorous type. So omnivorous in the sense both type of food material they'll eat. So what type of food material they'll eat, they'll concentrate on this topic also, this bit also. What they will concentrate? So mainly these animals concentrate on plastics we can call. So they'll eat this food material also, plastics also, whatever maybe. So cloths also, everything. So cloths also. So that's what. So these animals will have omnivorous type of habitat. So then followed by, sorry for the inconvenience. So omnivorous in the sense, so these animals will feed on both the plant as well as animal material. So then followed by, you have to remember what is meant by cursorial type of habitat. So cursorial type of habitat we can commonly call such type of animals as fast runners. Fast runners in the sense they will have this wings, then also they have adopted with that fast running type of habitat. So rarely they will use these wings for this flight mechanism. So that's what we can call it as such type of animals or habitat, cursorial type of habitat. Then followed by sexually dimorphic character means you already know, you can easily distinguish whether it is a male cockroach or female cockroach. This is distinguishing feature. How you will distinguish? Based on their abdomen. Then second character, so based on their presence or absence of anal style, you have to concentrate more on this anal style. Then followed by last thing is very important. So but this metamorphosis means you already know that conversion of larva into an adult stage after hatching of this egg. So here also hatching of egg is there. So that phenomenon we can call it as a oviparous. So the animal which is exhibiting this oviparity, so in them usually will find either one larval form or many larval form or no larval form. So directly they can attain this adult stage. But in this particular type of organisms, so oviparity will be there after hatching of these eggs. So they will start with this metamorphosis process. So metamorphosis, you already know, conversion process, and that a specific word they have mentioned there. So what is meant by that type of metamorphosis? So what does that mean? Called porometabolous type. Porometabolous type of metamorphosis. In this, what they are going to do? So after hatching egg, they'll become young cockroach. They'll become young cockroaches after hatching of egg. So these cockroaches, first we can call it as young cockroaches. So these young cockroaches we can also call it as nymphs. NYMPHS, nymph. So nymph is nothing but young cockroach. Sir, how we should distinguish in our kitchen, in our dump areas, wherever dump areas, usually exactly where we will find these cockroaches means I've already told you, cosmopolitan in distribution, anywhere you can find. So in railway stations also, in garbages also, you will find in household storerooms or in dump places, or you can take in kitchens also. So wherever we can call it as a dump areas are there, exactly. So more number of these cockroaches you will find, or arthropods or insects you will find. So usually when you'll come across young cockroaches, sir, how we should distinguish whether it is a young cockroach or adult one? So first difference I'll tell you that after immediate this metamorphosis, after hatching of this egg, when they will attain this parametabolous type of metamorphosis, so they will become young cockroach. Young cockroach in the sense without wings. They are very smaller in size and without wings. Without wings and small in size. Without wings, small in size. So they looks like a very small. So without or devoid of wings we can call it. Devoid in the sense absent. So absence of wings we will find in young cockroaches. We can call it as nymphs. And these nymphs will undergo 13 times metamorphosis. So how many times? You have to concentrate on this later. Also I'll tell you one more time. So 13 times metamorphosis process we can call it as molting. Underline this word, molting. Moulting. Molting. Molting also we can call, or we can also call it by another word, ecdysis. 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 Underline this word, molting or ecdysis. Ecdysis means conversion of this nymphs into adult cockroaches. For that conversion process, how we can call it as normally in reptilians, skin casting will be there. Skin casting in the sense, so they will remove their older, what we'll call it as scales. So thereby new scales will come by skin cast. In similar way, it is also a type of casting. So what type? By undergoing this molting or ecdysis, how many times? 13 times they'll undergo this changing of their body parts, some body parts mainly here. So whatever this morphological character is there, so there is a presence of sclerites will be there. They'll undergo continuously, repeatedly 13 times molting, and after that 13th, 14th time, they will become adult cockroaches with well developed wings you will find. So till that time, during that metamorphosis or during molting or during ecdysis process, so these we can call it as nymphs. So this information is very important, you have to remember. So then followed by another very important thing you should remember. So after studying this morphology, so before going to this, and some more important points you should remember. So when you'll come across morphology, how it looks. Morphology also matters. So next followed by morphology. All will come in morphology only, but when you'll come across color, size and all. So, these animals hardly will have 34 to 53. NCERT you have to follow in length or long we can call. So these normally adult cockroaches will have a length of about 34 to 55 in length. So after that, when you'll observe clearly these cockroaches, so these are dark reddish brown in color. Dark reddish brown in color. Reddish brown in color. This color is will also matter. This is very important point. Dark reddish brown in color. So then followed by another very important thing you should remember. So after that, exoskeleton on their body. Exoskeleton. Exoskeleton in the sense how we have this exoskeletal structure. So external structure. So skin is there, na? It is the exoskeletal structure in human. In similar way, in cockroaches also will find exoskeletal structure. What is that exoskeletal structure called? So this exoskeleton is made up of chitinous plates. Exoskeletal structure is made up of chitinous plates. So these chitinous plates, whenever a dead cockroach is there, means with the help of this foreship, you can easily observe that external morphology. So you are going to observe clearly chitinous plates, hard. These are hard protective plates. Hard and protective. Hard and protective plates you will find. And these plates made up of, the name itself says that chitinous, chitin. So chitin is nothing but it is a type of polysaccharide. Underline this word, chitin is a type of polysaccharide. Polysaccharide. Usually when you'll study this external morphology, so color will matter and everything matters. So but mainly you have to concentrate more on this exoskeletal structure. That exoskeletal structure we can call it as chitinous plates, and these plates are made up of with a chitin. It is a type of polysaccharide structure. And these chitinous plates are nothing but, in NCERT they have mentioned there one word, we can call it as sclerites. Underline this word, sclerites. Together, dorsally you can take or ventrally. So this is called a ventral surface and backside is called dorsal surface. So in both the ways, so this is covered by sclerites, chitinous plates. So what are those dorsally, ventrally? So you have to remember. So these chitinous plates or sclerites are impermeable to water. Impermeable to water. Impermeability means they will not allow. Why they will not allow for this water? Why? Because from protection point of view. And these plates are only permeable to, only permeable to oxygen and carbon dioxide. Only they will allow for the entry and exit of these two gases called oxygen and carbon dioxide. How? That atmospheric air in these animals, they don't have any well developed respiratory organ. So that's what they will have, this tracheal system. So through this tracheal system only all the body tissues or cells will get this oxygen supply. How? Directly through this surface. So usually on their abdomen and also on their thorax region, they will have small holy structures. So these holy structures are present on that particular surface, these chitinous plates. So that's what these chitinous plates will have, small holes called spiracle. Through spiracles only that atmospheric air will enter, and that foul air is nothing but carbon dioxide rich air will exit out. So through that chitinous plates only, that's what they will allow or permeable to only exchange of O2 and CO2, but completely impermeable to the water molecule. So that's what, so this is very important point. You have to remember what is the use of this chitinous plates. Protection, mainly along with that allows for this respiration process. That is nothing but exchange of gases. Exchange of gases. And along with that, I've already told you, dorsally, ventrally together called chitinous plates or sclerites. So these sclerites, if they are present on the dorsal surface, are you getting my point? So if these are present on that dorsal surface, what presents? Sclerites. If these sclerites are present on the dorsal surface, we can call it as a targa. Underline this word. If they are present on the dorsal surface, we can call it as a targa. Right? Targites we can call. If they are present on the ventral surface, we can call it as a sterna. We can call it as sterna. Targa, sterna, dorsal, ventral. So both you have to concentrate. Sclerites. Dorsal sclerites are called targa, ventral sclerites are called sterna. So both information you have to remember. And both are joined by, when you will take this cockroach structure, here it is. So when you will take the cockroach structure, you have to remember that here. So usually here this is the head region, these are antennae, sensory structures, then followed by this is the small thorax region and long abdomen you will find, long abdomen. So when you will come across, here they have mentioned male and female's ventral view, and in this they have shown. So these plates are called, these are platy structures and these plates are called sterna and targa. If they are present on the dorsal surface, we called as a targa. If they are present on the ventral surface, we called as sterna. This is the cockroach structure, and the basic information you have to concentrate. I have already told you that this is male and female structure. So I have already told you another very important thing. What is that? So how to distinguish a sexual dimorphism? So this is male and female. So in male, two structures they have mentioned extra here. So this is one structure and this is another structure. So these two are common one. This is also common and this is also common. So here it is. So these two structures we called as anal style. Anal style. So anal styles, I've already told you that for attraction purpose, so they will have this anal styles in opposite sexes. So usually in male organism, for attracting the female, they will have this anal style, but you will not find it. You will not find in females. But in male, you will find another very important structure. So what is that structure? So here another two more appendages like structures you will find, and these two are called anal cerci, together called anal cerci. So sir, what is meant by that anal cerci? So these anal cerci are very important sense organs which will receive the sound vibrations from the external environment. Like these structures you will find commonly in both male as well as in females. But you will not find anal styles in females, but you will find in male organisms. This is the external morphology. You have to concentrate on this male and female, how to distinguish, then followed by what are the common morphological features of these cockroaches. So this is information related to the cockroach morphology. Another very important thing you should remember on this morphology. What is that? Body divisions. You have to concentrate on this body divisions also. Body divisions. So body divisions in the sense, usually these organisms, body is distinguished into three distinct regions. Three distinct regions. How many regions you will find in cockroach body? Means three distinguishing regions. So first number one is called a head, small head, then followed by thorax, then followed by third one, long abdomen, long abdomen. So total three regions you will find in their body of these cockroaches. So we'll start with this one by one. So what about this head region? What different sensory organs you will find on their external morphology of this head region, then thorax, then followed by abdominal region. So first you note it down, heading, head. So head of these cockroaches well protected by. So here when you'll consider, this is the head region. So head of these cockroaches well protected by head skeleton, well protected by head skeleton. Underline that word, head skeleton. So this head skeleton, or we can also call it as head capsule. We can also call it as head capsule. Underline this word, head capsule. Head capsule or head skeleton. Skeleton in the sense compulsory you should know that. So this skeleton is also completely covered by this sclerites. So sclerites means you already know these are the hard protective covering structures of this cockroach body. So these sclerites are in fused states. All sclerites are in fused state. Fused in the sense totally 6 you will find, all these 6 sclerites are to be completely fused in the head region, and after all 6 fusing, this is forming head capsule or head skeleton. So in this head skeletal structure, some important sensory organs you will find. So what are the different sensory organs you will find in the head capsule? So first important thing you should remember that. So first number one, you will find a compound eyes. Number one, you will find compound eyes. Will have simple eyes, will not have compound eyes. So I'll explain you later what is mean by compound eye. So how that vision. And then second sensory organ is called antennae. Number two sensory organ, this is also present on the head region. Usually you will find on this region, head region, this is one antenna and this is another antenna. So a pair of antenna you are finding. Along with that antennae, you will also find fenestrae. Underline this word. You will also find a fenestrae. Fenestrae, or we can also call it as a oscillus, singular. One means oscillus. Usually we will have two. That's what I'm calling it as a ocelli. Instead of calling ocelli, better you have to call fenestrae. You will find fenestrae. This is very important point. So three main important sensory structures you are finding in head region. Fenestrae, or we can also call it as in general simple eyes. Simple eyes. Simple eyes you are finding a pair or fenestrae, and antenna, a pair of filamentous structures on their head region, and along with that a pair of compound eyes. So these three important sensory structures you are finding on their head region. Along with that, in head region you will also find a fourth main important sensory structures are called mouth parts. You will also find mouth parts. Different types of mouth parts you are finding here. So we'll discuss about one by one. So first we'll start with this first number one, compound eyes. Compound eyes. On what basis we are calling it as compound eyes? So normally, so other type of animals including humans will have normal binocular vision. So but in these animals, they'll exhibit a special type of vision, we can call it as mosaic vision. Underline this word, mosaic vision. You will ask then, sir, what is meant by this mosaic vision? So later we'll discuss about that mosaic vision. So why these animals will have this compound eyes? Will arise one question. Sir, why in these animals only? Why not in the other animals? Why? Because so they will have this habit, we can call it as a nocturnal type of habitat. Nocturnal type of habitat. So nocturnal in the sense, so these animals are active at night. Active at night. So these animals will get their prey only during night time. Why? Because they are active at night time only. So that's what in daytime what they are going to do. So daytime they will hide somewhere like within kitchen stores or somewhere. So wherever they'll get a suitable area breeding ground, so they will sit in one place only. So night time only they will feed on these prey in the sense usually animals also, small animals also, or plants or whatever may be. So omnivorous type of habitats they have. So that's what due to that nocturnal or due to that activeness, so they will have this compound eyes, they will have this mosaic type of vision. So what is meant by this mosaic type of vision? So why not to be in human beings and other animals? When you will come across a pair of compound eyes, now when you will take a single eye structure, single compound eye, I am drawing single compound eye. So this single compound eye will looks like a pear shape or triangle in shape, or sometimes looks like a kidney shape also. So kidney shaped elongated structures you will find on either side of the head region. So these where they have arranged means dorsolaterally arranged. You have to concentrate on this point. Compound eyes are arranged on the head region dorsolaterally. So many times they ask this question in CET. Dorsolaterally. So dorsolaterally arranged structures you will find. So I'll show here dorsolateral. So these two are compound eyes. So dorsolateral in position. Dorsolateral in position. Point is very important here. So after that, another very important thing you should remember. So these two compound eyes, when you take a single structure of this compound eye, in this you will find small longitudinal structures like this. In each compound eye, you are finding like this squares. This is single structure of compound eye. So these individual unit, what I am marking is individual unit. Like this, in one compound eye usually constituting more than 2000 hexagonal units. It means that in one triangle shaped compound eye you are finding more than 2000 hexagonal. So this is what I have marked now. This is one single hexagonal unit. Like that, how many are there in one compound eye? More than 2000 are there. So all these 2000 together forms one compound eye. So when you will come across each means one single hexagonal unit. So that hexagonal unit we can call it as ommatidium. Single hexagonal unit we can call it as ommatidium. Ommatidium means only one hexagonal. So in black tumbedalri, this is what we can call it as one hexagonal unit. Like that, how many are there in one compound eye? Total 2000 are there. So you have to concentrate. So plural means I'll write it as ommatidia. Bracket you should remember, ommatidia. Ommatidia in the sense plural. So plural means total, altogether 2000 hexagonal units. I'll write it as ommatidia. Ommatidium means a singular, one hexagonal unit. So totally how many you are finding in one compound eye? 2000 you are finding compound eye in each compound eye. So then followed by, So how this is linking with this mosaic vision, sir? So first, whatever they are going to observe any image or an object, how we will see, so they will not see like that in such way. So little difference will be there. So how they will observe that particular object? So first what they are going to do, so first they will combine all images in the brain, combine all images in the brain. Sir, what is mean by this all images? All images in the sense, for example, any photo frame will come in front of you. Directly will observe that whole object at a time. But not like that in these organisms. So what they are going to do? First, if for example, if any object is there here. So these cockroaches want to observe this object. So what they will do? So first, one small image, that head first they will observe. After that they will concentrate on this middle parts, then followed by limbs and everything they will observe. So it means that this is what single image, this is another image, like this so many images they will form in brain. So after forming all images, total one complete object they will observe. Are you getting my point? So how they will observe whole object means by forming small images. All these small images they will combine and it will form an complete object, and later on they'll observe easily that whole object. So this type of vision we can call it as mosaic vision. So like that type of mosaic vision usually you will not find in human beings and other type of animals. So this is related to compound eyes. So after that you have to remember another very important thing, another sensory structure you will find in the head region. So what is that sensory structure called? Antenna. Number 2 mentioned there, antenna. Number 2, antenna, or plural means I'll write it as antennae. Antenna means one, antennae. Totally how many they have? So on their head region, so total 2 are there. That's what I'm writing, antennae. So these antennae are filamentous structures. So when you'll come across, this is the triangle shaped region head, a pair of compound eyes you are finding. So thorax region you are finding, then followed by abdomen you are finding. Abdomen. So here wings or something you are finding. So here mainly when you'll concentrate on this head region, so on this head region you are finding one pair of filamentous structures. A pair of filamentous structures you are finding. In this pair of filamentous structure, you have to concentrate clearly. So filamentous on what base we are calling? So like these structures you will find. This is the filamentous structure. Where they are arising? So they are arising from the head region. This is the head region arising from the head region. These are filamentous structure. So these will act as a sensory organs. Sensory organs. We'll ask then, sir, what is the use of that sensory organ? So these will sense to touch. That's what they will have, tactile in nature. Cockroach again role irtidri. What is the important role of this presence of a pair of antenna means first primary function means sense to touch. Tactile receptors are there. So you have to concentrate tactile in the sense to touch. They are very sensitive to touch. How they will sensitive to the in front of any object will be there or anything will be there means how they will sense. So mainly by presence of antenna. When sudden touching that antenna, tip end of this antenna to the any object, immediately they will come back. Either it may be a predator or it may be anything. So usually in a detection of this food or in detection of the spray or in any reason. So these are very important. So that's what tactile in nature. So tactile means touch, along with that. So these are helpful in detection of food. If they want to get this food, in the detection of food also very helpful. And in recent studies, they have mentioned another very important function of filamentous structure. What is that use? So, sense to smell also. Sense to smell also. So, smell receptor, smell in the sense what we can call. So, smell, sense to gustatory. Sense to smell we can call it as what type of receptors you will find? Gustatory. Right. So, you have to remember all these sensory structures. So, after that, compound eyes, after that filamentous structure, or after that antenna, another very important sensory organ is remaining. What is that? Third, number 3 you mentioned simple eyes or fenestrae. Simple eyes or fenestrae. I've already told you now only simple eyes, or we can also call it as fenestrae. So what is the important role of fenestrae? So these are undeveloped pair of rounded structures. Undeveloped a pair of rounded structures where you will find exactly at the base of antenna. You are finding at the base of antenna. At the base of antenna. So for example, here one antenna is there, means at the base somewhere here, and another antenna means here somewhere. At the base of antenna you are finding a pair of small rounded structures. So these rounded structures are undeveloped. Undeveloped in the sense we can also call it as vestigial structure. Vestigial in the sense these have non-functional. Non-functional in the sense they will not have any important role in vision or in that particular sense. So but these structures are sense to light. One common function is sense to light. Underline this word. What is the main important role of fenestrae or simple eyes? Means these will have sense to light. Getting my point? So all these are the different structures you will find in their head region. So after that comes to mouth parts. Number 4 mouth parts. Number 4 mouth parts. What are different types of mouth parts you are finding? Are you getting my point? So totally these structures related to or sensory organs related to only head region. In that head region we have already completed what is meant by mosaic vision, what are compound eyes, what are hexagonal units, how many hexagonal units are there, and how they will combine all these small images and how this will form complete object in their brain. So then followed by what is meant by fenestrae or what is meant by simple eyes, where you are finding what is the important role. Then followed by what are antennae, where you will find these antennae, what is the main important function of that antennae primary and other functions of this antennae. And fourth sensory structure is called mouth parts. What are different types of mouth parts you are finding in cockroach mouth region. So we'll discuss in next class. After completion of this mouth parts, directly after completion of head region, we'll start with this thorax. After completion of this thorax, later abdomen. After that abdomen, this completes your morphology. After completion of morphology, directly we'll start with this, how digestion process is going on in these cockroaches. By that simple digestive system diagram is there for your need point of view. You have to concentrate what are the different parts of this digestive tract and how they will function. Thank you.